People, what up? What's good? You already know what time it is. We a little bit late, but it's all good, man. We still gonna talk about this patch. Yeah, y'all know what we do. We read the changes, we talk about them. So y'all be sure to like, comment, sub, all that good stuff. Feel free to disagree with me after you hit that like button. But yeah, let's get straight into it. But before we get into the cards, man, something real cool I just wanted to bring up real fast is they added the graveyard and like custom borders, right? So that's really cool. It's just a nice touch, like a nice addition to the game. I wasn't really tripping about like the custom cards or the graveyard or anything like that. But for all of you guys who had your cool gold inked cards that you were particular about how they look, you can adjust them now, right? So that's cool. But yeah, let's get straight into these cards. So we got Elsa, Meek, Mantis, Cable, Timestone, M'Baku, that boy we just used yesterday, Yondu, and Leech. So let's get it, man. Let's get it. So they got Elsa up first. So as we can see, man, her stats before were 2 cost, 3 power. After you play a card here, give it +2 if your side is full. And so now it's 3 costs, right? But it says each card you play to fill your side of location gains +2. Oh, so they gave her the Luke Cage treatment. It looks like the little Mobius. So I'm gonna read this and then I'll give my thoughts. Similar to our notes around Luke Cage last month, we decided we took the wrong tactic with Elsa. Our rebalance to keep this effect local aimed to maintain Elsa's strength as a 2-cost build around, but the numbers necessary to make that work don't line up with our goals. So we're shifting Elsa up to 3/3 and widening the effect to all locations once again. We're also restoring the previous functionality so that Elsa applies the power buff before on reveals resolve rather than after. We've decided to accept that both versions have some potential to be confusing, but the original execution seems to have more clearly lined up with players' expectations in our existing content than our revision. Elsa will once more be able to buff cards like Beast and unable to buff Brood. So I actually don't like this change because y'all know I was just using that Hope Summers deck with you fill it up with Nightcrawler, Elsa, Bloodstone, Angela. You fill up that one lane, then you can move your Nightcrawler out, you feel me? You keep boosting your Kitty Pryde, move your Vision, your Jeff. So I liked how she was before, but I guess it's overall a net positive because it just extends to all 3 locations, right? It's kind of like that Luke Cage, Mobius. Like it seems like 3/3 is like kind of the magic number for these type of cards that were like kind of considered broken at first, then got readjusted, and now I feel like this is gonna be a great spot. So you're gonna definitely be able to use those obviously the bounce decks that you were using before. You could still use that Hope Summers deck with like the Nightcrawler, Spider-Man, stuff like that. And you're just gonna be able to work with your Hit Monkey, stuff like that a lot better. You feel me? So y'all let me know what y'all think of Elsa Bloodstone. Like I said, I'm kind of sad that I'm not gonna be able to cheat how I was with that one specific deck, but you can still make a great use of her, right? Just like Luke Cage. Up next, we got Big Meek. So his old ability was after each turn, if you discarded 1 or more cards, gain that much power and move. Now, it says when you discard a card, this gains +1 power and can move next turn. So it's cool, and this is a lot better. Just making discard decks a lot better because let's say you got your Dracula down, and I'll read the developer's notes after I just talk about it real quick. So let's say you got your Dracula down, right? You use MODOK on like turn 5, and you're obviously you're gonna boost your meat that way, right? And so you can now choose where you want it to go on that last turn. Obviously it's gonna leave your Dracula lane, and then you can pick whatever lane you're losing in to place him in, and then you get your cool little Apocalypse boost or whatever for your Dracula. So it's very cool. Let's go ahead and read it, but I'm also gonna talk a little bit more about discard after this, right? The general direction of Meek was on the right track, but our execution fell short. In particular, interactions with Invisible Woman, Dracula, and Black Cat crossed our bar for frustrating and non-intuitive for many players. Meek still gains just as much power counting cards discarded at one time or in bulk, but that power will now be added immediately. We also removed the randomization from Meek's move, giving players the option to make a move during the following turn if any cards were discarded. Overall, it should be a sizable buff to the bug. So yeah, man. And also, I didn't really note this, but you could also kind of run like a hybrid discard move deck. I mean, it probably won't work as good as you want it to, but you could definitely like throw Craven or something on there just to be able to, have your Meek help him out as well, so you could do some cool stuff like that. But I like this for discard decks. But here's one thing I do want to say about discard decks. It used to be weak. They keep adding a lot of great new cards to discard. On top of that, they keep buffing the discard cards, right? They buff Hellcow, they added like Corvus Glaive, Proxima, like that whole last season and stuff like that. They keep buffing discard, but it's now it's getting to the point like, how do you counter a discard deck? You feel what I'm saying? Because before they added all those cool cards, you either had the regular discard, which didn't really work which really wasn't that strong, and then you had the Modok Hella discard, which you just use either Rogue or Cosmo to counter the Invisible Woman, right? So they buffed it a lot since then, but they're not adding in any like checks to it, which is kind of what I'm concerned about. But I do like this for me though. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think, especially about that, right? But let's keep going, man. Who we got next? Big Mantis. So let's see. Her old ability, old stats, 2 cost, 3 power. If your opponent played any cards here this turn, draw from their deck. Now it's 2/2, but it says if your opponent played any cards here this turn, copy them into your hand. Copy one of them into your hand. One of them into your hand. That's interesting. Let's read it and then I'll talk about how I feel about it. Our efforts to differentiate low-cost card generation have mostly gone well, but Mantis and Cable both came up quite short. We've waited to adjust them further because ultimately we felt Mantis simply needed a rework in order to find a functional home. This design shifts Mantis thievery from a deck to copying cards at a location. This can be a lot more powerful if you time it right, because the copy will retain any buffs. Venom in particular comes to mind as a very powerful card to copy. We'll keep an eye on the strength of this effect to ensure it finds the right balance point. Yeah, so it's interesting, man. I kind of do like her old ability a little bit better in the sense that you're stealing one of the opponent's cards, so you know that they're not going to be able to have access to it. But it's also cool just for the example that they gave, like you take however powerful that Venom is away from them. But it's also like the thing about Mantis, like you run those type of cards on a Devil Dinosaur deck, right? Do you like really want to use Venom with your Devil Dinosaur? Probably not. So I feel like those type of cards is always tricky because you're always adding random stuff into your hand, and it's kind of messing up your original strategy, was just to either get 2 Devil Dinosaurs, copy one with Mystique, and just really make those 2 cards as strong as possible. So it's tricky. I mean, this is a cool change. We're gonna see what it does. I'm definitely gonna give her a try, man. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about Mantis as well. We got that boy Cable up next. So they just changed him back to a 2 cost, but they gave him 1 extra power. So with Mantis changing to no longer copy from the deck, that creates room for Cable to move back down to 2 cost with a buff from his original 2/3 to boot. Okay. And yeah, I feel like this is fine, especially since they changed Mantis. Just give him his old cost with a little bit better stats. I feel like 2/3 is fine as well. I mean, you got plenty of great 2/3 cards. You got armor. You got like cards like Shocker, like Evolve Shocker. It's plenty of 2/3 cards, so I feel like it's just fine. So I honestly probably use Cable over Mantis if I'm using like a Devil Dinosaur deck, but we gonna find a way to cook with Mantis for sure. We definitely gonna find. But we got a real big one right here, y'all, and that is the Time Stone. So they went ahead and so it used to be +1 energy next turn and draw a card. Now it's draw a card and give it -1 cost. So here's And this is actually a really big deal because now you're not able to pick which card you're gonna spend the extra energy on, right? It's only limited to that specific card you drew, which is huge, right? So you're less likely able to get stuff out like Hope Summers on turn 2, Hobgoblin on turn 4, right? You're not able to pick. You're kind of getting lucky. It's kind of like Evolved Shocker in a sense. It's tough. On top of that, man, you're weak to Mobius now, right? That -1 cost, if they have Mobius, is not gonna apply, right? So this is actually a huge nerf. I think Thanos is still gonna be fine, but let's go ahead and read what they have to say about it. Thanos has proven that combining the toolbox abilities of the Infinity Stone with a potent set of in-game cards consistently creates a powerful deck. After Blob Winter, we started looking more closely into exactly how the deck ticks and which parts of it are concerning. Time Stone really stood out as a warping presence in the deck with its ability to often capitalize on strong 5 and 6 cost plays. We've decided to weaken that angle considerably in the interest of future facing metagame diversity so that Thanos isn't the default best way to ramp out those kind of cards. This change is expected to do some damage to Thanos, but the last few seasons were very good for the Mad Titan, so a little break isn't so bad. Once we see how this change affects Thanos' decks, we'll look for the right spot to add back some. No, don't do that. Hold on, let's finish it. We'll look for the right spot to add back some of the strength we took away in previous balance patches. Perhaps Soul Stone took the heat for the Time Stone too early? No. Don't buff the Soul Stone. So here's the thing about Thanos, bro. You get 7 cards. You get the 6 stones and him. Right? That just makes deck building so much easier, and you're able to be a lot more creative because you have all those extra cards, right? I feel like even with this nerf, he's fine. Like, you can still run a Thanos Destroy deck, a Khazar, one of those type of, like, you can do whatever you want with him, bro. He doesn't have to be buffed. Like, he's as scary as he needs to be, whereas a card like Galactus, I feel like, isn't as great, right? So don't buff him. Right? That's just my thoughts, but y'all let me know how y'all feel about this card, man. I'm glad man, he's fine. You feel me? He's fine. So they buffed that boy M'Baku. That's tough. We literally just used him the day before he got buffed. So his old ability, if this is in your deck at the end of the game, it jumps to a location. Now it's at the end of the game. This jumps from your deck to your lowest power location that isn't full. I mean, this is obviously just better, right? You kind of got to be tricky when it comes down to buffing M'Baku because you don't just want to make him a better version of Angel. You feel what I'm saying? But let's go ahead and read what they had to say. M'Baku has always been more meme than dream, which is a fine position for some cards to maintain. It's pretty fun to watch M'Baku do the right thing. However, it's been clear for a while that M'Baku's strength was languishing. They love using that word, languishing. We decided to give the jump trigger the same effect as seen as on Proxima Midnight, aiming for a location where you're more likely to need help. There will always be corner cases with cards triggering in the endgame, such as Dracula and Captain Marvel, but we believe this is a overall positive. However, M'Baku may be found drinking at the bar with no name a bit more often. I don't remember this location, so I don't really get the joke. But yeah, I mean, this is cool. I feel like you could also just give him an extra power, like 1/3. I feel like that's fine because if you draw him, his ability literally doesn't work. So they could even give him a little bit more strength. You feel me? So y'all let me know what y'all think of M'Baku. Well, up next we got Yondu, and then lastly we got Leech. We almost there, y'all. Y'all be sure to hit that like button. So his old ability, destroy the top card of your opponent's deck. Now it's destroy the lowest cost card in your opponent's deck. So it's a targeted destroy. I actually think this is a little bit worse because, you know what I mean? You're not gonna be able to get rid of, like, get rid of the key cards in somebody's deck. So let's say you're playing up against somebody with Wong, right? Wong is typically not the lowest cost card on the Wong deck. So turn one, you play your Yondu. If you hit Wong on turn one, they auto lose. Or if you feel me, like Mr. Negative, they auto lose. So it's like it kind of reminds me of how they did Spider Ham. But let's go ahead and read why they went ahead and did this. Back in the old days, Yondu was a frequent player in destroy decks, thanks to this trigger helping discount death while powering up Null and providing some information. See, and now your Null is gonna have a lower chance of getting strong, right? Because you're not gonna be hitting 6 cost cards, 5 cost cards as often as you were, unless they're running like some discard cheese with nothing but 6. You feel what I'm saying? So this is a nerf in my opinion. Let's keep reading though. However, recent competition has almost universally left Yondu on the outside looking in as players grow their collection to include stronger synergy elements. This small change aims to give Yondu some new potential to function with cards like Cable and others in the near future that aim to steal cards from your opponent's deck, improving the quality of cards stolen by destroying the duds. Oh, okay. Ahead of time. Given the existing effect was already insufficient for Null to notice, this potential outweighed that consider. Oh, okay, cool. So they figure, right, there's really no room for him on a destroy deck because you're most likely gonna use Deadpool and X23 as your 1 cost cards, right? You used to be able to use those 2 with Forge. They changed Forge to a 2 cost. And sometimes you might even prefer Nova, right? So Yondu is really the 4th option on that deck. So he's not going to get used on the Destroy deck. So they say, we might as well open them up to be used on something different. But at the same time, bro, I just don't like the change, right? Unless they are to add a card in that, like, it's kind of like Darkhawk or Ronin in the sense where it like bases its strength off the number of cards that you stole from your opponent or the like you stole from their deck or destroyed out of their deck, right? I feel like it would be cool on something like that, but we don't have that. You feel what I'm saying? So y'all let me know what y'all think of Yondu. I don't like this. The one I feel like I just don't like, right? But I mean, we got one more change. And that boy Leech, my twin Leech. So at old ability at the start of turn 6, remove all abilities from cards in your opponent's hand. Now it says remove the text from each card with an on reveal ability in your opponent's hand. So it's not turn 6, it's just whenever you play him, remove the on reveal abilities. That's tough. Now I'm not exactly sure if this is really a buff or a nerf because it's immediate, right? You're not waiting till turn 6. On top of that, it opens them up to be used on like a cool version of an ongoing deck. Or like let's say you're using I don't know, like Patriot, and you're worried about them playing Enchantress on turn 6. Yeah, on turn 6. You put Leech down on turn 5, you could just run the Ultron version of Patriot instead, right? So you're taking care of Enchantress and Killmonger. So that's just one way I see how you'll be able to use them. Obviously, I feel like you're stopping all tech cards now instead of everybody, which is, and it's instant. So I'm not sure if it's a buff or a nerf. Let's go ahead and read and maybe give it a little bit more thought still. We're aware that Leech is among the least beloved cards in Snap on any given week. However, Leech has served an important role for over a year, ensuring that there was some meaningful check for the various shenanigans players could get up to during the endgame. In that time, we've also made a concerted effort to design more specific disruption at better rates, such as Echo, Mobius, Shadow King, Kyra, Supergiant, and even a few cards you'll see very soon. Thanks to those additions, we're ready to try restricting Leech to affect a narrower band of cards. we like to make sure Leech continues to find some kind of a role, to play some kind of a role. So we chose to affect one of the bands he most consistently targeted already on reveal cards, like Shang-Chi and Legion, that tended to steal the end game on the final turn. So yeah, I mean, it kind of makes them a little bit cooler now, in my opinion. But yeah, man, y'all let me know what y'all think of all these changes. Obviously, we got some location updates, but I really just wanted to talk about the cards, man. I don't care nothing about the gold pass or anything like that. I'm not buying it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not buying it. But yeah, man, as always, y'all be sure to like, comment, subscribe. We on the road to 2,000 subs. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.
Yeah.